Capital in the Morning with Renee and McBool.
9:08 for the morning. Hashtag breakfast with Ruto. We have His Excellency, the Deputy President, with us in studio. So many comments.
I suggest, McBool, you just say, we have the Deputy President. His Excellency is for governors.
Speaking of governors, let's talk all things devolution. First, there's a perception that the national government does not like the devolution and, in fact, is out to scuttle the entire project. Sink it immediately. Your chance to set things straight.
That is so brutal, Renee, surely.
It gets worse. I mean, you've seen the comments on the ground.
Let me say the following. That there wouldn't have been a better government to implement devolution than the Jubilee government. Why do I say so? We are the only contestants in the last election that had the foresight and the guts to talk to devolution in our manifesto. We wrote in and said we were committed to devolution. We even said that we want to commit up to 40% of all the resources to devolution. No other political party or coalition did that. That is as thorough as we are. How have we implemented devolution? We were supposed, for example, to roll out the whole devolution program in 3 years. Working with governors and everybody else, full steam, we did manage to roll it out in 1 year. We devolved all the functions that's required by the Constitution, all of them, in 1 year. We made sure that there was sufficient support for county governments to set up all their institutions, the county assemblies, and everything else that is required to operationalize devolution in 1 year. We have resources allocated to devolution more than any government would have done. In fact, we are having a discussion this year, and the chairman of CRA and all the other institutions that are charged with matters devolution, we are going to have a discussion on the allocation, the revenue allocation for counties for next year. We do not want a quarrel. We want a honest, forthright discussion on what is and what is not possible. The one thing we are not about to do as a country is to live beyond our means. We cannot borrow money to share. The Constitution says we share what we raise from our taxes. And that is the discussion we want to have. And let me say that devolved governments have done very well. Honestly, I think against the odds, with difficult situations, working out a new system of government, setting up structures in those governments. With all the challenges that county governments have, I think they have tried. They really have gone out of their way. It could have been better, right? But even with all that, I think something is really happening at the grassroots. More, of course, is expected of them and should be expected of county governments. There is now more money available at the grassroots. The decision making has been devolved to the grassroots. Some counties, I must say, have so much money, sometimes they complain they don't even know what to do with it. Some counties, you cannot believe it. And you cannot blame them. There is so much money down there, and sometimes it is subject to misappropriation and things like those. But on the whole, I think the rollout of devolution is a huge success for the Jubilee administration. And we are very proud of what we have done as a government to make sure that these units actually work.
Huge success in many places. However, and perhaps this is the antithesis of devolution. What then happens in counties which are either A, unable to provide the services that they are required to, or B, are suffering so hard from the effects of previous municipalities and municipal decisions, such as they inherited, that they are now barely surviving. I have in mind a case in point of Nairobi, which by the governor of Nairobi's own admission is spending almost all its money just paying workers and paying off debt at the expense of the county itself. And this is our capital city, our flagship city. And we're seeing an increase in potholes. We're seeing service provision being lowered as opposed to being increased, and a real cry from the county itself that the weight of debt and the weight of its workers and its wage bill is too heavy for Nairobians to expect much from its government.
Well, we have cases where you have challenges like the one you have mentioned. But you see, if I told you the challenges that we face as national government, what the governor of Nairobi has told you will look like child's play. Yeah? So every leader, beginning with the president, myself, governors, and everybody else, must think outside the box. Right? They must think outside the box. Because instead of focusing on the magnitude of the problem, they should be focusing on the possibility of solutions elsewhere.
Ooh, write that down, Makbul. Instead of focusing on the magnitude of the problems, they should be focusing on the possibility of the solutions elsewhere.
Hashtag quote of the day.
That's it. Well, in fact, if we wrap.
Surely. If, for example, we had a bill of 84 billion shillings to pay for our roads. Mm-hmm. And if we calculated from our budget, it meant that we would need 3 years of budget to be able to pay for roads that were already awarded. But we said, okay, if that's the problem, we have to think. We have to look for another alternative of building these roads. Because if we continue this way, we will never achieve much. That's why we went the route of annuity. And with annuity, we can be able to do 10,000 kilometers. Right? With a spread, payment program or payment schedule. So people, governors must wake up to the reality that they are leaders. They must stop being crybabies. They must stop looking at, we need money from central government unless we get this money, Leadership demands that you look for solutions. You think of because every cloud, they say, has a silver lining. Don't focus on the cloud. Look for the silver lining. You could be having the problem, but there is opportunity. How can you turn it around? And that's really, and this clamor for more money from the center, more allocation, is really based on naivety. People not thinking outside the box. How do you raise revenue? The principle behind devolution was, number one, devolve resources. Number two, devolve power. Number three, devolve accountability, making sure that people are engaged in the process of the use of funds at the public level, at the lower level. Sorry. So, if you have power has been devolved to you. You must think. If you have authority, it comes with responsibility. And with responsibility comes accountability. You must account. If you are a big man, or so you think, that big man thing comes with responsibility, my friend. And being responsible means you think about the opportunities that exist in the challenges that you have. It's not that you go and camp looking and gazing and focusing on the problems that exist. Otherwise, you do not become a leader.